Hello and welcome to a live session with me. Today we're doing birth chart readings. They are donation based. So if you'd like to join my list, pay what you can. I'm about to put the link in the comment. There will also be a link information in the description. So if you'd like to jump on the list, use one of those links. I do ask that you use those links instead of doing the YouTube payments, just because it sort of goes straight to me instead of the YouTube taking their percentage and stuff. Hi, guys. Let me know where you're watching from. This is so exciting. Hi, Julia. Hi, Susie. Hi, Carla. Yes, Carla, you're on my list. You're on my list since early May, and we're already in June. So super exciting. Okay. How do I wait? Does it not like? Okay. So here's the link information. Let me just make sure that it's pinned. It's a lot of information, but all I ask is that you send a donation. These are pay what you can, however generous you feel, however much you can afford. The goal is to offer you guys some guidance if you cannot afford a full reading with me, provide some astrological insights. I do ask that you choose one question, ideally one question, primarily question. So it's more, so we can cover as many people as possible. Hi, Monica. Good to see you. I think you were missing last week. I noticed. SP, can I send money still? Yes, I have just started. I haven't looked at anyone yet. Carla is going to go first and then Monica, unless anyone else is here who already sent the donation. If you want to join my list, you can send the donation at the link in the description or link in the pinned comment. Okay, Monica says I've been crazy busy. Yeah, no worries. You're not supposed to participate every time. I just feel like I get used to you participating every time. So it's like a little, will Monica be there or not? It's a fun thing. Okay, I'm also seeing Susanna. Let me put Susanna on my list. Yeah, the list is open since we are just starting. Let me see. If you're just joining and you haven't told me where you're watching from, do let me know. It is always fun. Okay, Susanna. And there's also in the pinned comment, there's also information about sending me your birthday info. The more precise you can be, the better. So date, time, exact time, right? Place of birth. You can email it to me at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com. And if you want your information to be private, there is the option for that too. You can either put it in the chat, but ideally when you're sending your birthday information, I would prefer that you say it there, because there's a lot going on and it's a lot to keep track of sometimes. So when you send me your birthday information, if you really care about it being private, put it in the email title so I see it. Okay, Sean, I see you as well. Adding you to my list. For Carla and for Monica, I already have birthday information, but for the rest of you guys, okay, Justine, I see Justine as well. Putting Justine on my list. You guys are being so faster than I am. Okay, Sean. Okay, let's start with Carla. Let me see. What are you guys saying? Fire videos 100. Auntie J says, I'd love a reading. SP sent. Susie just sent. I see you, Susie. I assume SP is Sean P. Monica says, I fully intended to join last week, but work got in the way. Carla was out for the last 2 Mondays, only watching the videos. Sarah, hi. The email address should be in the description and in the pinned comment. It's Anastasia Does Astrology with periods between Anastasia Does and Astrology. Carla says, I can be your assistant for the day. I would love that. How can we work that? How can we make it happen? Carla, if you want to give people answers, that would be helpful. On to J is Justine. Okay, awesome. So, Carla. Carla, what was your question? Because I do not see your question. I do see your birthday information. Would you mind telling me your question? Okay, there's also Bezzy D. Adding Bezzy D to my list. Bezzy D. Okay. Carla, career change. Okay, so you're considering a career change? You're going through a career change? Okay, I might close the list. You guys are being so fast. I don't wanna take too many people. I think so far it should be fine, but yeah. Okay, you're going through a career change. Let me share my screen so we're looking at your chart and also make sure. Carla, does it matter for you if your information is visible or private? Okay, you're saying quit my job because I was very unhappy. Okay, going through it. Yeah, let me know your preference and then I can dive in. Visible is okay. Okay, thank you so much. So let me see, Carla. There you are. Are you guys feeling Mercury being in Gemini? Are you feeling like you're much faster at typing, speaking, writing? I have noticed it as I was writing horoscopes for my subscription for subscribers. If you guys ever want to join my subscription, there's like a very basic level where every week I send you updates about what's coming up and give you advice on how to deal with it. And then there is a more advanced level, their monthly horoscopes and their VIP subscriptions also. But anyways, I've been writing horoscopes for my subscribers and I feel like I've written them the fastest I've ever done. Normally it takes me like about, let's say, an hour, but I think I was like speeding through them in 35 minutes. Okay, Carla, can you see the chart? So are you a Capricorn sun, Aries moon, Leo rising? Okay, Carla. Carla, nothing private. Carla is being a Leo rising. She's like, we're just who we are. This is it. Um, Someone saying, is your sun sign Aquarius or rising sign in Aquarius? I just was curious. My moon sign is in Aquarius, and I seem to get along with people with strong Aquarius placements. I love your channel, by the way. No, my moon is in Gemini. You might be picking up on my Gemini moon, which can be very, very airy, but nothing. I don't have anything in Aquarius. I really like Aquarius placements because it's my fifth house of creativity. And so I think they always like stimulate me in a very unique way. Okay, Carla said yes. I assume that's to the fast Mercury. Susie says yes, definitely. I have the zombies. What does that mean? Janet says yes. Oh, zoomies. BD says yes, it's a Mercury and Gemini. Can I agree? Julia says feel it a little. Yes. Janet says I started journaling again. Yeah. Yeah. It's here. It's awesome. I love it. I have actually, I talk about my candles a lot because I believe in them full-heartedly. So I captured Mercury and Gemini 2 years ago. So I have Mercury and Gemini candles, and this time that it's around, it like reminds me that I should light them up more. And you can always check out my website if you want to see anything. Okay, Carla is doing really great about about keeping track of the comments and everything. I appreciate that. Okay, Sarah. Yes, Sarah, I did see your payment. Okay, Carla. So the question is career change. Let's see. So your midheaven is in the 11th house. Midheaven is the angle of career, right? In a chart, ascendant, descendant represents the horizon line. The sun rises in the east, culminates at the midheaven, sets in the west, and then culminates on the other side of the world at your IC. So the first place you always kind of look at is the midheaven and the 10th house. And so, with your midheaven being in the 11th house, this suggests that your professional success must be connected to your influence on the world. Basically, you have to have an impact. You need work that is social, you need work that, empowers people, maybe working with large groups or working for a large organization. The ruler of the midheaven is Mercury in the 5th house. It's interesting because looking at that and seeing that Saturn has just left Pisces and Saturn was in your 8th house squaring your Mercury just recently definitely checks out, I think, and makes me think that there was some type of pressure to maybe change things. Let me just real quick see what are your transits. So outers, medieval. Saturn has been, Carla, Saturn has been in your 8th house since March 2023. And 8th house is the house of karmic entanglements and karmic debts. So I wonder if Saturn being in your 8th house have made you realize that there are certain debts, financial, but maybe even just sort of like obligations or things that ways in which you are intertwined with other people that did not serve you. And maybe the frustration could have started in 2023, but maybe it was aggravated even more later on. So, okay, so let me see. Saturn. Let's just, I feel like I just end up talking about Saturn so much always. Okay, so Saturn squared your Mercury 3 times: May 8th, 2025, September 19th, 2025, and January, February. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the future. So it squares your Mercury May 8th. So the first time was May 8th. And then it comes back around in September 2025. And then the final square will be in January 2026. So I feel like when did you quit your job? When did things start to you're saying it started in 2023. SB, you're saying, can I change my question? Absolutely. Just if you send me an email, just send an email and like specify that you'd like to change your question. Sarah says send email, Cash App. Officially really closed the list yet. I'm thinking about it, but I think for now I can still probably get to all of you guys. So quit in 2025, February 2025. What was happening in February 2025? February, okay, Neptune was squaring your Mercury. So how okay. Sorry. Yeah, because right now we have Saturn and Neptune were both moving through the very final degrees of Pisces, and they went into your 9th house, and eventually they will sextile your midheaven. So I feel like, and they will be trining your natal Neptune, which is quite positive. I think when Neptune first went into Pisces, which was forever ago. When did Neptune first go into Pisces? Let's say 2012. Yeah, around like 2012, 2011, you were going through your Neptune square, which could have also felt a little bit confusing, but I feel like now you're coming out of it. And now you're actually going through like a period of rediscovery. And Saturn and Neptune both went into your 9th house of education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters. So the career change makes sense and it might encourage you to do some soul searching. This also, to me, is coming from Jupiter going into your 12th house for a year. I just posted a video on Jupiter in the 12th house. You can always check that out. But Saturn is in the 9th. Neptune is in the 9th. They're going to do a little bit of back and forward, like I said, this year with maybe continuing to create these pressures because Saturn and Neptune square your Mercury 3 times. This may feel like a 3-part story, right? So the first square, Neptune, let's see. So Neptune already finished its squares, but Saturn is still squaring your ruler of the house of career. And so Saturn, the final square from Saturn will happen in January 2026, which could mean that that's perhaps the time when you figure things out. But it could be a really good period to study. It could be a good period to travel, to maybe explore some spiritual passions, to do some healing and looking for answers, I think. Are you planning to study at all? Is your career change, does it involve any sort of like study, travel, maybe even looking for mentors, looking for people that could be allies? But Saturn in the ninth is, it's like a 3-year long period of studying, writing a dissertation. You're doing something that will probably take you from now, it just went in on May 24th, and all the way into April 2028. And also, I would look back at what was happening in your life in 94. So from like 94 into 96, and then from 96 into 99, maybe as like two separate periods. Um, okay, you're saying sabbatical, travel, yes, and maybe moving. Yes, you work with communications. So are you changing, do you know where you're going professionally? Like, are you sticking with the same industry? By the way, if any of you ever want to like book a reading with me and have a conversation and like, talk things out, you can book one at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay. I see Janet also. Okay, you're saying nope, no clue. But I think, okay, so reflect on those periods. Reflect on 94 into 96. That could have brought up another sense of like dependency, debts, frustration, some sort of like, search for freedom. And then 96 into 99 to be like, how did you discover freedom? What did you do? What was like maybe an important transformation period in your life at that point? Jupiter being in your 12th house for a year might suggest that you're in for a year, like I said, of soul searching where you don't have all the answers figured out yet. It will go into your first house, which is a new beginning in 2026. So June 30th, 2026, for another year, it goes into your first house of identity, which is a major personal reset. It's a period in which you're more lucky, you're more happy. It's going to be trining your Neptune and your natal Mercury. It's going to be trining Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So that will be a really positive period. The ruler of your house of career is Mercury. It's retrograde and it's in the sign of its detriment, which might sometimes suggest that people that you meet professionally may be somehow like in their detriment. Maybe they give you vague instructions, or they don't sort of, I don't know, they're very like feisty and blunt and direct. I would recommend Mercury and Gemini candle or oil as a remediation tool. And there are also some rituals that you can do, which again, if you book a reading, we can definitely discuss it more in depth. But that's what I think. I think maybe this year is a year in which you're like, it's important to ask those questions and maybe dive into some kind of spiritual travel, look for mentors, maybe like join some courses and like explore things. Give yourself a chance to discover yourself, because that's what Saturn and Neptune might be about. I hope this answers your question, Carla. Sometimes it's a bit, it's obviously a bit complicated to like answer questions without having your direct feedback, but that's what I'm seeing. You're welcome. Okay. Judging by the number of your exclamation marks, I will assume that it did help. Okay. And you guys are very sweet with wishing Carla good luck and being very encouraging. Yes, we do. We do all wish you to discover yourself, because it's never too late, right? Never too late. Okay, Carla. After Carla, we have Monica. Monica. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second and go to Monica's chart. Okay, Monica. So, Carla, I really appreciate you being my assistant today. I see you, Mars and Scorpio, very on point of things. Mars and Scorpio is one of the placements that I really see your how special you guys are, how like strategic and ninja like you are. Okay. So, so I think I am going to close my list for now because I did receive another payment and I just want to make sure that I do not take on more that I can handle. And also I don't want to I don't want to promise you guys that I will get to you if I potentially cannot, but we'll see. So, okay, we're closed for now. Might reopen it later if I get through your questions fast, but we'll see. We'll find out about that. Okay, so Monica's question was, work has been terrible the last couple of weeks. Seems like my luck isn't all there this past year. What changes in luck are coming my way this year? Just trying to figure out how to best take advantage of the lucky transits happening soon. That is a good question. Monica, remind me, do you work in education? So, okay. So you are, I was looking at that before we started. You are 45. 45 is the 10th house a year. It's ruled by the sun. So it's kind of highlighting your house of relationships and potentially highlighting sun and Chiron together. So maybe a need to acknowledge some vulnerability and through shining light on what hurts, becoming more empowered. So this could be professional, this could be personal. Okay, you're saying yes, you are a teacher. And do you remember what was happening in your life last time Jupiter was in Cancer from June 2013 into June 2014? Because Jupiter is our planet of good luck. It has been in the sign of its detriment for the last year. So the fact that you're saying that your luck hasn't been there this past year, it makes a lot of sense because Jupiter, you're born with Jupiter in Virgo. Jupiter is in its detriment in Virgo because it's a very kind of service and helpful zodiac sign. But Virgo tends to overthink, it tends to overanalyze. Sometimes it's hard to just be like optimistic when you see all the things that need to be done. So I think with your natal Jupiter being in this pragmatic, analytical sign of Mercury, and with transit Jupiter also being in the sign of Mercury, there may have been too much of like thinking about things, but not maybe enough trusting them. You're saying a bad school year. Wait, so it was a bad school year and that's not that's odd. What about 2014, 2015? Okay, you're saying I was looking at my Facebook memories the other day and got reminded of that. You know what I think? Is that Saturn would have been in Scorpio in 2013 and 2014. So what about 2001, 2002? Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So when we're looking at 2013 and 2014, we have to take it with a grain of salt because for those people with strong fixed placements, such as Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo, in 2013, 2014, Saturn would have been, I don't know why it's not showing this, but let me share it with you, the updated screen where the transits are actually. Okay, so this is 2013, and basically Saturn would have been right on top of your ascendant in 2013 and 14, and then it would have squared your midheaven, which is the angle of career. So I think for you and for anyone else who had like, if I'm very excited about Jupiter in Cancer, and I talk about it as this like really really great transit, but we do have to take into account everything else that was going on. So in 2013 and 14, Saturn being in Scorpio would have really felt heavy, especially because you have a natal T square between your ascendant, your midheaven, and your sun. You were still in college in 01, 02, but was it fun? Was it perhaps more fun than 2013 and 14? So, okay, so your question was what luck changes are coming up? Can you guys still see my screen? So with Jupiter only a week away from Cancer, it is going into your house of education, writing, publishing, legal matters, travel. It's a year of growth, and it's a year of strong focus on what is close to heart. Jupiter in Cancer is all about slow nurturance of your passions. So I think if you felt a little bit lost, for most of us, if we felt lost in the last year, that's okay. When Jupiter enters Cancer, we are more likely, and you are specifically more likely to know kind of with more clarity what's important to you. I do like that Jupiter will be sextiling your natal Jupiter. So I think there will be this sense that whatever you're working on, whatever you're giving back to people, and the service that you're providing with Jupiter in the 11th, Jupiter in the ninth can bring mentors, teachers, students, people who are very much appreciative of you. And there may be a sense of like familial connection, I think, when it comes to career. We do sort of have to keep in mind that in June, immediately when Jupiter enters Cancer, it faces Saturn and Neptune. So it's a bit of a bumpy entrance. It comes in and it maybe encourages you to learn something new, to change jobs, to like mentor, right? Become maybe like a guide for young girls or something like that. But then it faces Saturn and Neptune. And so early, mid-June has this like too much work, maybe not feeling super excited, maybe dealing with some kind of roadblocks. But then when it frees up and it starts traveling at full speed without any bumps from Saturn and Neptune, I think it can definitely bring more opportunities to like invest into things that are important to you. So again, maybe nurture school relationships, maybe mentor people, maybe get someone who mentors you. And then after that, next year, it goes into your house of career, which can also be quite beneficial. So I think it could be really lovely for learning. It could be really great for opening yourself up to new people and new connections. What would it Okay, so it sextiles your natal Jupiter. Jupiter rules your house of money. Okay, that's good. There may be even some kind of financial benefit. Jupiter rules your house of children. So maybe benefits through teaching children, right? It will be trining your moon, which is always powerful for like deeper emotional satisfaction. And it's also going to sextile your sun, which is the ruler of your house of career. So there are definitely some good vibes there. Okay. So Monica, that's my take. I think be open. I think focus on the thoughts that coming into your head, because with Jupiter, it is actually it is it's Jupiter manifests things that we believe in. And with Cancer specifically, if you like, for you, it's in your ninth house, which is the larger picture of the world, your faith, your philosophy, your beliefs. So the more we believe in Jupiter, the more it's able to deliver. So that's, I think, the lesson for everyone too, with Jupiter going into Cancer and immediately squaring Saturn and Neptune. Whatever rejection, whatever delay, whatever frustration you deal with in the middle of June, even if it's like inner frustration or other people, do not let it define your experience. Do not let it be the absolute truth, right? Like approach it as like just something you have to overcome. And even Saturn and Neptune in your sixth house, I think they like urge you to set better boundaries, and they urge you to overcome obstacles so you can become like a winning hero. Okay, you're saying positive change with career will be awesome. Yeah, I think it can happen because it's going into your house of education. It can also suggest that maybe this year you're learning new things, or you're like acquiring some kind of knowledge, you're taking some exams. And next year, from 2026 into 2027, you're actually seeing success from that, or you're seeing some kind of, you're getting opportunity to be maybe more visible. Okay. This is my take. Let's see what you guys are saying. KB was asking, are the readings close? I have donations for today. Carla was saying you can make your donation still and get on the top of the list for next Monday. Yes, that is a really good point. Thank you, Carla. You can make a donation now, and even if I don't get to you today, you will be on my list. And then next week or whenever you show up, because you're on my list and you're like closing first, like what happened with Carla today. She sent a donation like 3 weeks ago, and so she was first today. Okay, Susie is sending good vibes. Go, go, pogo. Go, go, pogo. I don't think I have you on my list, go, go, pogo, unless, what is your name? Did you send the donation? And if not, you're probably not going to be on my list because, these are pay what you can donation-based readings. Okay, Monica is saying, I'll be doing some educational trainings and traveling this summer for them. Sounds awesome. Yeah, you're welcome, Monica. Have a good time and try to think positively, try to invest in things that are fun for you. It's about education, but it's also about cancer is always about like healing and health. So it could be about learning about things that are fun for you and investing into things that are fun for you. Jasmine, yes, Jasmine is on my list. So Susanna is next. Susanna, are you here? Susie G, are you Susanna? And let me see, did you send me your Susie? Carla is asking, could you share the list with where we all now? The list the list as in who's on it right now. That's a good question. Okay, so this is my list presently. And so the order of people as well. There are no spaces between people, but it should be Susanna, Sean P, Justine, then Bezzy, D, then Sarah, and then Janet. Carla, you're being so awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it because it's a lot sometimes. Okay. Susie. Susie, you didn't mention about being private. So is it okay if I just enter your information and share your chart? Jazz Z? Wait, Jazz Z, did you send the donation? Did I not see it? Oh wait, there's also Germaine. After Janet, there should be Germaine. And that is spelled as Germaine. Okay, Jazzy. Are you Germaine? You say you go by Jazzy though? Jazz. Am I pronouncing it correctly? I feel like I might not be pronouncing it correctly. Yeah, and also if you guys send me an email, sometimes I can't like look at them as I'm doing other people's readings, so it might take me a minute. Oh, Jazz. Okay. Okay. So Jazz, yeah, Jazz, you're on my list and I will try to get to you. Normally I try to do these in like 2 hours. I'm live for about 2 hours. But if by any chance I don't get to you today, you will be at the top of my list for next live. And even if you can make it on the next live, then live after that. But we'll see. I will attempt to do everyone. Okay. Susie said yes, go ahead to being able to share her information. Let me see. I have your info. Okay. There are a lot of Newtons in the US. Is Newton connected to Isaac Newton? And if you don't know, it's okay. I'm just thinking out loud. Okay. So, let me pull up the transit version of this as well. You're saying, I have no idea. Sarah Moon is asking, do you post these lives for replay in case we want to rewatch or get disconnected or something? Yes, yes. They basically get uploaded automatically, which is pretty awesome because sometimes it takes time to upload these. And again, Carla, thank you for answering. Okay, Susie. So, is this correct? Are you a Cancer sun, Taurus moon, Gemini rising? And your question was any transits you see that impact relationships or income? I'm debating whether this is a good time to break up and move out of state for another job or wait it out. And then you also said, to simplify my question, I guess, what major transits do you see for June that I should be focusing on? There are many things up in the air right now. Okay. So let me see. So first of all, you are 34, right? You're turning 35. So 34 is the year of the 11th house. 35 is the year of the 12th house. So the ruler of 34 is Mars. Mars is in its detriment in your chart. So it might sort of affect your year and that's specifically while you're 34, right? So you're almost done with being 34, but I'm just kind of creating a framework for thinking about this for myself. But you have so the ruler of your house of friendships and networks and hopes and dreams is Mars, and it's placed in the 12th house, which may just feel like you being really critical of yourself or you being really tough on yourself and you sometimes struggling with frustration and knowing exactly kind of what you're describing, maybe like knowing when to take action or what to do. When you turn 35, you are entering the 12th house year, which is a very much like the border between closing the chapters, ending the cycles, and moving on to new beginnings, which is something that begins when you turn 36. So 35 could be like very much the year in which you're cleaning things, cleansing things. Susie says, yeah, I'm over my 30s, to be honest. Don't say that. 30s can be really fun. Um, you also have like a really good chart. I think you have the exalted moon in the 12th house. Do you have a good relationship with your mom? I mean, 12th house is a bit tricky for the moon. A moon represents the mother, but it's still the exalted moon and it rules your house of money. And then in the house of money, you have an exalted Jupiter, but there's Chiron here, which kind of makes me wonder if it's like you probably deal with a lot of like blessings in disguise when it comes to finances. But your question was, what major transits do I see for June that you should be focusing on? Okay, your mom is your best friend now. Yeah, it's interesting because was she for some reason like not available to you, or was she maybe just like dealing with a lot of things mentally and for that reason maybe wasn't very available to you? By the way, I also love your Venus in the first house. That's like the sign of so much beauty, radiance, being charming, being Venusian. But okay. So the transits for June, what to focus on right now? You're saying, yeah, she was dealing with a lot when you were growing up. And you're welcome. Venus in the first house, together with being a Libra rising or Taurus rising, is like very much a sign of beauty. Okay, so big transits that are happening right now. So the sun is in your first house. It could be offering you a chance to be more visible. Mercury being right here, potentially, the time to think about yourself, speak about yourself, put everything on the line, express how you're feeling. What else do we have? Saturn, Neptune went into your 11th house. Uranus is about to go into your first house. Yeah, like if you're thinking about breaking up, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it could be maybe that you're going to break up in July when Uranus enters into your first house. I mean, nothing is stopping you from doing it now, but it just feels like there might be with Uranus in the first house, that's like a very literal, I'm independent, I'm going off on my own. I think your Jupiter return beginning is pretty exciting. Obviously, it's going to highlight your natal Cancer Capricorn opposition. So Jupiter enters your second house. It goes into your house of money. It kind of boosts, I think, your sense of self-worth. It encourages you to um as for all of us, connect with what's truly important to you, personal interests, personal concerns. It will be squaring Saturn and Neptune in June. So again, June has this kind of stop and start energy. There is an excitement of your Jupiter return, which is a new personal chapter. Even having Jupiter over this last year being your first house, I think maybe brought up some new ideas and encouraged you to ask questions around your identity. And so Jupiter will continue that, but it will kind of force you to narrow it down and to prioritize. Do you remember what was happening during your last Jupiter return 12 years ago? Um, June 2013 into June 2014. So in June, when Jupiter enters, it will be squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. So there may be in mid-June, I would say from June 9th all the way until probably June 23rd, 24th, when we get the Kazemi, there is a sense that there may be some obstacles, there may be some authority figures, friends, allies, people who do not support you. Let's say you're like, I want to break up with my boyfriend, I'm ready for new beginnings. But then someone in your network, maybe someone older, maybe someone whose opinion you really value, ends up telling you like this is a bad idea, or there is some other type of restriction, red light, not yet, you need to think deeply about it. So June just have like at least as a bit of like slow down, take your time to build it step by step. You're saying I gained a lot of weight this past year with Jupiter in the first. Yeah, Jupiter in the first, that's like the side effect of Jupiter in the first for sure, to gain weight. In 2013 you graduated college. So there were probably some big new beginnings, right? You were trying to figure out your place in the world, work and relationship, but ended up moving in 2016. I like you moving when you're 35. Because I mean, it doesn't have to be only 35, but 35 highlights your 12th house, and 12th house is about foreign lands, faraway places, just sort of being a foreigner, being away somewhere. So again, maybe it's a good month to sort of think about things, but in July you may feel more ready to act. Also, it's going to be Cancer season, right? And it's like your personal birthday, your actual birthday. And with Jupiter being free and picking up speed, there may be more opportunities to even June 24th, right? We have Jupiter Kazemi on June 24th. We have new moon on June 25th. So you don't need to wait until July, but late June. What dual citizenship? Which countries? That's so exciting. I have a dual citizenship too. GVS is saying, hi, do I still accept personal readings? So I closed the list for now, as Carla is saying. But if you want, yeah, you can jump on the list. You can send a donation. You will be on my list, but I might not get to you today. Susie saying USA and Mexico. That is really exciting. Carla, you're a dual citizen too? It's fun to be it's fun to be a dual citizen. Okay, Susie, I hope this was helpful. Oh, Carla, you're Brazilian and USA. That makes sense. You were born in Rio de Janeiro. I was there. I visited Rio de Janeiro a few years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it was so beautiful. We got a really nice upgrade when we were there. We were supposed to stay in a hotel a few blocks from the beach, but then that hotel was all packed and they sent us to another one with like the view of the beach. I need to check what was happening transit wise at that point, because that was definitely fun. That was a really lucky situation. Okay, Susie, you're welcome. Susie is saying Rio was fun. And you're in Rio. It was definitely it's definitely a very, very beautiful, beautiful place. Okay, so let me mark Susie as done. So Sean P is next. Sean, are you here? Carla, you're saying you came to visit your mom. Do you have a lot of family there besides your mom? Okay, Sean, let me know if you're here. If Sean is not, then Justine. Okay, Sean, I see you. And I don't know if you sent me your question. Oh, you sent a couple of emails, right? Is it okay to call you Sean or Shanice? And also, you didn't say anything about keeping your information private, so I assume it's okay for me to share. I feel like I asked like 5 questions, but yeah, let me know if you have a preference for like private. So while I put your information in, I'll make sure to hide it. Okay, I think I got your information right. Let me just double check. And question, what are the energies influencing my life currently? Were you the one who wanted to change your question, or is that the question? Okay. You send an email. Sean is fine. Yes, it's fine. I assume all of that is in terms of sharing your chart. Let me see. So I'm going to share your chart and I am going to look at the transits because your question has to do with the things that are influencing you currently. Oh, so you would like your information to be private. So, okay. So the tricky thing is I can't keep it private while I'm looking at the transits, but I can actually, I think, let me see. I think I can just share your chart and then I might be able to look at the transits on my end, but you guys will still be looking at the chart. Okay. So let's see. I think. Oh, that was the new question. Okay. Okay. So sharing the window. And again, for everyone who wants your information to be private, please make sure you include it in the email you send me. And you can always just reply to that chain to the email you already sent and just add it. So when I pull up your information, I see it. And if you did, and for some reason I didn't see it, forgive me because sometimes that happens. Okay, Sean, are you a Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, Leo rising? Is this your question? You're saying it's okay, no problem if you can't do it. Yeah, I might just be able to sort of do some things but not the others. And I might not share the transit screen and just look at it on my own. So do let me know if this is the correct chart for you. I am going to look at what's happening with your present transits chart. Capricorn, Sun, Cancer, Moon, Leo rising. Does that sound familiar to you? Sean, please confirm so I know that I have the right chart. Just waiting. I don't know. Maybe my messages are slowing down. Oh, okay. You're saying, yes, that's me. Okay, so what's happening? What is influencing your life right now? The biggest one, I think, is Pluto right on top of your Venus. So Pluto went into Aquarius permanently in November 2024, and it's going to stay there until 2043. And your Venus, which is the planet of love, is in Aquarius. And so this year, in April and May, specific dates are April 8th, 2025, May 31st, 2025. And the next conjunction will happen on January 30th, 2026. Pluto is conjoining your Venus, which suggests that it's transforming your relationships, beginning with your relationship with yourself and ending with all kinds of relationships. Seventh house represents partnerships, it represents contracts, agreements. Pluto coming in here may introduce someone really intense into your life and bring an important shift through maybe someone you meet who opens you up to really deep passion on the level you haven't felt it before. If you're currently in a relationship, it can bring up power struggles. It can maybe encourage you to deal with difficult things together, to transform together. Are you in a relationship? Have you been noticing this maybe strong desire for depth, intensity, vulnerability? It's a really big and important transit. It's once in a lifetime transit. Pluto is not going to conjoin your Venus again. Pluto takes over 200 years to make a full circle. So you get it once, and many of us will never get it, right? Because it's like 260 years for Pluto to circle. So if you're not in that zone, then it's not gonna happen. Like my Venus is in Virgo. Pluto is not going to conjoin my Venus because when I was born, it was in Scorpio. So it needs like 200 years to get to Virgo. Important one, and I think Pluto in the seventh will bring really big relationship transformations, and those dates when it conjoins your Venus are especially significant. Venus also rules your third house of communication, siblings, neighbors, community, and your 10th house of career, status, and public life. So there might also be maybe business opportunities and new beginnings that involve siblings and community, maybe having more involvement with community. You're saying, yes, I met a Scorpio who is intense most recently. Scorpios are intense. Scorpios are very Pluto like. You're saying, I'm single at the moment. Pluto can bring a lot of interesting experiences that will sometimes be felt through other people. So it may bring someone into your life who maybe feels too controlling, too obsessive, too demanding, but it might also reflect your need for intensity, and maybe people, they are actually meant to make you more self-aware, and they're meant to get you closer to who you truly are. You're saying people want to date, but I'm not sure if I'm ready. Been a while single. Yeah, it makes sense that you're trying to be careful, but I think you're meant to date right now. I think you're meant to see what attracts you and maybe explore. Okay, why am I not seeing one of my screens just disappeared? Okay. I just want to look at, because this Pluto Venus transit, I gave you the 3 dates, but actually Pluto conjoins your Venus 3 times. So it's almost a 2-year long period in which, okay. So April 8th, May 31st, 2025, and then January 30th, 2026, August 24th, 2026, December 5th, 2026. So that's strong and that's long lasting. What else is happening right now? Your Jupiter return begins on June 9th, and that is really positive. So you're born with a very strong moon in your 12th house and Jupiter in the 12th house. So it might be calling you to get away, to travel, to go also similarly to Carla, Leo rising themes, right? Kind of go on a journey right now. There might be this opportunity to kind of connect with your spirituality, maybe go do yoga, go to an ashram. You may benefit a lot through also some kind of like hidden alliances and hidden associations and people that are supportive of you that you didn't even potentially knew that they were supportive of you. You didn't know. And the best oh, wow, okay, so you're getting Jupiter Cazimi right on top of your moon. So this is really powerful. I think it's really exciting for any 12th house topics. So healing, being a healer, being someone who helps going through difficult situations, people in mental asylums, hospitals. This is just a very by the book definition of the 12th house, healing self, right? Foreign lands, foreign travel, foreign people, foreign citizenship. That could be that all of that could be great. Like discovery of new passions, all of that I think is lovely. You're saying might be good for me. Yeah, for sure. Carla is saying I'm loving it. It's a really positive transit. And the last time this would have been happening for you would have been June, July 2020, no, 2013. And then also from June 2013 into June 2014, which is worth looking at and seeing what was happening in your life. There will be this sense of push and pull between your more pragmatic self, which is your Capricorn stellium, and your more intuitive, spiritual, dreamy self. So you may need to find some balance between this Cancer Capricorn opposition, right? Like trusting a little bit more, maybe following your intuition a little bit more. I like that you guys are finding each other. Sean is saying, I've been wanting to travel. Is that a good career for me being a healer? Absolutely. You have both houses of healing. You have house of physical health and you have house of mental health highlighted. And actually, when you're born on the full moon or around the full moon, as you are, you more than other people can see the differences in people and you can sort of find the unity of the oppositions. That's I hope this makes sense. But yeah, like you have the moon in a very sensitive Cancer, right? Like you're very sensitive, you're emotional, you appreciate comfort and soothing foods and things like that. But then you're also very hardworking, very practical, very like grounded with your sun in Capricorn and with your Pluto in Scorpio. This also reads as like opportunity to maybe heal people that even have been through like difficult childhood, maybe heal people who are heal children, work with children. I do like that 100%. You're saying I just moved to a foreign place. You guys, Carla and Sean are setting up a meetup in Europe. That's awesome. You're saying I broke up with my boyfriend and moved to a random state and started a career. And what do you do for work? Are you a healer? So yeah, so I think that's what's happening for you right now. And you're moving and you sort of spending this year in a new place makes a lot of sense. And I think with your Jupiter return and your 12th house being activated, it's really good for healing. It's really good for travel. It's really good for connecting with people in these faraway places. So I hope this answers your question. Let's see. So who's next? You're saying this is so true, very grounded. Okay, so yeah, you're both grounded and spiritual. Okay, Justine, you're saying, wow, I love children. Working with children could be really great for sure. Justine, are you here? Oh, Auntie J, that's you. You are Justine. And you're also born in Brazil. Look at that. Today's dual citizen people who are very international evening, it seems like. Okay, Justine is here. Justine, did you want your information? Oh, you said information can be public. Okay, I see it in your email. Let me put your chart information in. Are you the one who asked me whether I'm Aquarius? I have Aquarius placements. I wonder if my oh, it did find the place you were born very easily. That's good. Okay, I pulled up your chart. I'm going to share it in a minute. First, I want to make sure I have everything I need. Okay, Sean is saying I work in finance, can't stand it. I want something more. Janet is saying I'm loving the connections today. Me too. And I'm loving that you guys are very, everyone is supporting each other. That's really awesome. It's good to have those. It's good to have those vibes. Justine says, thanks for the reading. This is my first one. Sean is saying, I love it. Would love to book a reading soon. Yeah, if you want a proper face-to-face 30-minute or an hour-long reading, you can book it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. And I'm also teaching a course. Jupiter is going into my 10th house of career. And so I'm taking my astrology practice to the next level and starting to teach. So if you guys want to, it's not for everyone. Astrology is not for everyone. I know a lot of people just want to, just hear about their zodiac sign, but I think there's a lot of benefit to actually speaking the language and to be able to like read for yourself and to live life with more consciousness, more clarity. So definitely check it out. Okay, Justine, sharing my screen, answering your question. So, is this correct for you? We have Aquarius, Sun, Taurus, Moon, Sagittarius rising. And your question was, what important transits are coming up for me in the next 6 months? Okay, so important transit. So your chart ruler is going into the 8th house for the next year, starting June 9th. And Saturn and Neptune are in your 5th house. So Saturn and Neptune are highlighting the need to get serious about your creative output, the need to get serious about your romantic life, your sex life potentially, and your either inner child or maybe even your desire to be a parent, right? This can show up as like becoming a parent. This can show up as starting a creative project that you're perfecting and you're getting really serious about. This can bring all of romantic relationships under a serious lens. Sometimes Saturn in the 5th is a little bit of a dry spell planet where you're getting so serious about, who you're dating. Are you dating anyone right now? Yeah, there seems to be a lot of Taurus moons here today. Taurus or Cancer placements with Cancer Jupiter. So it's like you're having to be responsible for your, I think, choices, your relationships. You're saying I'm very single. Okay, so Saturn can aggravate that at first because it makes you be very discerning, right? It says that you don't want to date just for fun. You want to be serious about who you're attracting into your life. So, and then Jupiter, your chart ruler, is about to level up, which is really exciting because for a whole year it was in the sign of its detriment. It was in the house of relationships, but it was still in Gemini, which is the sign that likes to pick things apart and think about 100 possibilities. When it goes into Cancer, it will encourage you to prioritize again what's important to you personally, romantically. It could be a really powerful time for working with other people. It can bring, it can bring benefits through working with other people. It can bring financial gains. I love Jupiter in the 8th house. Like, I think my example of Jupiter being in my 8th house, one of my clients invited me to come to visit her in Hawaii, and I was able to use points to buy a ticket. So the whole trip and stay in Hawaii for the first time in my life was like $12 to get there and back and to stay in Hawaii. Of course, I spent a lot of money while I was there, but Jupiter in the 8th house was very, very generous. So you can expect some positive things coming through, like student loan forgiveness, opportunities to, get gifts, a raise, increase in pay, investment returns, things like that. There may be a little bit of friction, at least in June, between Saturn in your 5th house, and you're maybe like need to get serious about your dreams, and maybe like a sense of, Saturn and Neptune make relationships confusing, and Jupiter in the 8th wanting to grow, encouraging you to grow and to follow maybe new pursuits. Jupiter in the 8th for the next year can also increase your interest in spiritual topics, make you more serious about things like that. Uranus is going to go in your 7th house of relationships this year between July 7th and November 7th. And then next year, it's going to come in for like 6 or 7 years. So that's also an interesting one. This is, there's going to be a lot of focus on your relationship houses, I think, in the next couple of years, even more so than a couple of years. Uranus in the 7th might encourage you to date very quirky people. There may be really rapid developments in your romantic life where somebody comes into your life and you like only known them for 2 months and you get married, or you decide to separate from like a friend or a contract and agreement that you've had for a while. Let me see some other important maybe personal transits that we're not talking about. Yeah, Uranus will also trine your Mercury, which is the ruler of your house of relationships, on June 12th, December 7th, and April 1st, which could be, again, somewhat beneficial for relationships, maybe new people, maybe new partnerships. Saturn and Neptune in the 5th can also be about, like you're saying, you crochet and do admin work as your day job. It could be maybe you take your crocheting to the next level. Do you sell things that you make? I like your Auntie J name. It's got like fun vibes to it. Okay, what else do we see here? Jupiter will be also opposing your Saturn in July. There may be some obstacles in late July that you're going to have to deal with, and some tension between like taking on debts or taking on gifts from other people or working with other people, or maybe some kind of, opportunity to like somebody maybe offers you a resource and it makes you doubt them, or it makes you feel like unsure whether you should trust people or not. Whether you should trust those people or sort of be more self-contained. But I think Jupiter in the 8th house is definitely beneficial for partnerships and for agreements with people. But then Uranus between July 7th, November 7th can maybe throw some surprises into the mix. So if you are starting partnerships with other people, make sure that you have someone like look over the contracts you're signing. Jupiter will be sextiling your Mars when it's in Cancer. Mars rules your 12th house of mental health, your 5th house of romance, pleasure, parenthood, and children. This is in August, so that could be some good times. Maybe some dating opportunities too, or maybe a chance to travel, maybe again, some kind of like resource. And then September, October, we have Saturn sextiling. Saturn returns to Pisces and it sextiles your Mercury. Mercury, Jupiter, and the Moon. Okay, right. It connects with your Mercury and it connects with your Jupiter and the Moon. Saturn in the 4th can bring maybe some kind of improvement of your living situation or improvement of the family relationship, especially if you've dealt with any maybe increased duties and responsibilities since March 2023 when Saturn first entered your fourth house. And of course, also North Node being in Pisces, right? This being your nodal return, that's also, I think, really worth mentioning because you're saying, yep, I do market sometimes. So I wonder if Saturn and Neptune in the fifth house is like the time to get your hobby to the next level. It's like the time not just do it for fun, but actually like Saturn in the fifth can make you be like, let's crochet and let's like look up markets and make sure I do every Christmas market I can, and maybe just like see how you can take that to the next level, because Jupiter in the eighth could be really beneficial for that, I think. Oh, and I was going to say that with your nodal return too, there is this year North Node is in Pisces and you're born with North Node in Pisces. So I think it's like highlighting your karmic desire to create, your karmic desire to maybe create like a comfortable home for yourself and soothing environment for yourself. You're saying that checks out. I have a trip with my mom planned. That's cool. Family topics are highlighted. So I think those are the ones that jump at me at this point. If you want a more detailed breakdown, we can always do that during a private reading. Carla is jumping in saying I can help you with marketing. That's so cool, Carla. I should also talk to you about marketing because I feel like I could benefit from some help with that. Okay, Justine, you're welcome. I'm glad this resonated. I think if I had to sum it up, I think your chart ruler going into the sign of its exaltation is just a very, very positive shift. Okay, so the list as it stands right now has 4 people on it. This is the list. Bezzy D, are you here? BD, that's you, right? Should I call you BD? Is that okay? And are you okay with your information being public? Okay, BD's okay. You consent. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's put your information in. June 8th, right? Happy early birthday. My boyfriend's birthday was yesterday, and we went out on town. It was a very chill birthday. He likes chill birthdays, so it wasn't really anything crazy, but it was fun. Do you have any fun plans for your birthday? Okay, so let me share my screen. The plan is to just be around close friends. That's a good plan. Okay. Gemini Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Capricorn Rising. Jana is saying Gemini Moon dating a Gemini Sun. I love the Moon Sun combo. Me too. And we also have he always sees my feelings. I think it's like the most sort of literal example of it, right? Like the sun shines light on what me as a moon feeling. And I think it's very like soothing and reassuring. And we also have our moons fall in each other's fourth house, which I think is another like sort of sign of being comfortable around each other. So BD, is this correct for you? Gemini, Sun, Sagittarius, Moon, Capricorn, Rising. Good catch, Janet, too. Not everybody would catch that. Okay, so your question, what may be blocks from my past life, or what are strong focuses in the chart that is meant to help this lifetime? Okay. So, past life, this lifetime, I would always look at the nodes, right? We have South Node, usually connected with past karma, the gifts you carried over, but also the energy that is maybe less fulfilling in this lifetime. And your North Node represents the part of your life that you're trying to master. And the goal is always to balance the two. The goal is always to figure out how you can make the two work together. Not necessarily, I don't subscribe under the idea that it's like one is good and one is bad. And so with your South Node in the third house being in the same sign as Jupiter, this to me suggests that you've done a lot of good in past lifetimes and you may have carried over some good karma, right? There may have been, you maybe served people, you maybe were a monk, or you maybe helped people on some level. And so would you describe yourself as lucky? Do you find that you can manifest things pretty easily? Because that's what Jupiter in the third house might represent. It can also describe you as a jack of all trades. You're saying such a helper for Jupiter. Yes. Okay. Yeah, like when you have South Node in the third house, it can describe you as like a jack of all trades, someone who knows a lot, right? And like look at your Gemini stellium. It's a very powerful Sun, Mercury, Mars combination. Mars and Gemini is like the best salesperson, really good. You're saying I do tend to be all over the place. Right. Okay. So part of the lifetime challenge or focus, right? Like for some level, I think people who are born with South Node and Pisces, they may have lost focus on themselves. They may have lost sort of their embodied identity because they were either living lifetimes of service where they sacrificed their ego for the benefit of others, or they lived addictive lifetimes where they just indulged, or they struggled, they couldn't be truly themselves, or they didn't tend to their body. With North Node and Virgo, part of the lesson is to actually focus on tending to your body. And one of the challenges here might be the square from the moon and Pluto to your north and south nodes. Squares from the planets to the nodes are considered skipped steps and things that maybe you haven't fully mastered in the past lifetime. So you have Moon and Pluto. They're ruled by a strong Jupiter, but they are in the 12th house. And the moon represents the mother. And it makes me wonder if maybe your mom was like maybe your mom dealt with a lot, or your mom was away somehow. Maybe she was not fully available to you, or she was maybe like there's some kind of intensity connected to your mother with the Pluto energy, and maybe a sense that like you didn't quite learn how to tend to yourself and your needs. You're saying, yes, oh my God, that's been a big lesson I've been learning lately, to be more grounded, to be more in your body, to be more sort of like present. So yeah, I think the moon square, you're saying you're not that connected. Yeah, moon conjunct Pluto can be like either a mother that's really overprotective of you, or a mother that's just like too controlling, too domineering, and just very difficult to be around. But I think the mother energy has a lot of like when there is a square to the moon, there might be a sense that women in your life are here to teach by coddling you, if that's the word, but more likely by creating difficult events and sort of challenges that ultimately are meant to help you grow. And so again, I think through like overcoming this and transforming the pain, you're meant to find more growth. And I think through perhaps like nurturing yourself and being vulnerable and taking care of yourself, because sometimes when your moon is in the 12th, you may sort of lean more heavily into like, I don't know, it may be hard to tend to yourself. You may find yourself in a position of like really seeing what other people need, right? With your sixth house stellium, like you can be so good at problem solving, you can be so good at showing up for other people. But somehow I think like North Node in the ninth, believing that you know enough, connecting with your knowledge, learning about health, learning about nutrition, and like really taking care of yourself first. Um, and it's your Saturn return. Your Saturn return has just begun, right? And so questions of family, questions of healing, questions of better boundaries, creating more comfort for yourself, learning to sort of assert yourself, all of that I think is going to be coming up. You're saying, yes, I'm always helping others. Are you good at taking care of yourself, or is that what you're learning? Oh, so I think that's what I'm seeing in terms of your past life, present life. Just finding that balance between giving too much of yourself and like narrowing focus on yourself. Oh, okay. You're saying that's what I'm learning. Okay. Okay, BD. I am glad you found this helpful. Sounds like it resonated. Okay, Sarah is next. Sarah, are you still here? And if you are, thank you for being around and sticking around. After Sarah, it's Janet. Then after Janet, it's Jermaine. And then we will wrap up for today. Sarah is here. That is great. Sarah, you didn't say anything about your information being private, right? So I assume I can just put your info. It's okay if it's on my screen. Okay, you're saying yes, it's okay. Janet, also, I wonder, you were commenting on synastry. Is it something that you like read a lot about, or do you just know a lot about astrology or synastry specifically? Oh, also, BD, I was gonna say, and I feel like, yeah, I don't think I said it, but I was gonna recommend my Moon in Cancer 3 candle for you because you are a Capricorn rising and your moon is in this more complicated position. Moon in Cancer is just like so much more embodied energy. I have made those recently, so it could be a really good fit for your chart. Okay, Sarah. Janet says, yes, I search it a lot, but I also love reading about astrology. Yeah, it sounds like you've looked into it. Okay, Sarah. So, Sarah, is this correct? Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, Capricorn rising. We do have a lot of Capricorns today and a lot of Cancer Taurus moons. Langil, you're asking, please kindly read my chart as well. So my list is closed for today, but I am doing these lives every week. So if you'd like to join the list, you can send a donation and you'll be on my list for next week, or you can just join next week and the list will begin again. So you can definitely, jump on. So Sarah, your question was, will I meet someone to be in a healthy relationship with? So, what is preventing you from being in a healthy relationship? Because you do have a very strong ruler of the seventh house, which makes me feel like, of course, it's sort of immediately like, yes. Um, okay, so let's see. So you have, okay, I see a bit of a maybe difficulty that comes between your Venus Mars square. Okay, you're saying tired of constant lessons, basically. Um, Yeah, so you're born on the full moon. You're born like 12 hours after the full moon. And when you're born on the full moon, you are usually somebody who lives a life full of experience, right? And so for a while you're probably getting a lot of experiences and lessons, and then at some point you'll figure out how to deal with them. The full moon people have this advantage on many levels because they can see the world from two perspectives. You can be both like rational and pragmatic with your Capricorn planets, and you can be both, and then you can also be emotional with your Cancer planet. So Cancer moon in the seventh house suggests that you're attracting people who are very nurturing. You're maybe going for people that are not sort of like typical like macho men. Instead, you're really meant to be with people who are like emotional and sensitive, right? And they might feel sometimes like too sensitive or too emotional because the energy in the seventh house is something we project and something we perceive through other people. So you may sort of think that it's not really you and it's more other people. It's more like a partner who is really emotional. You have this square between your Venus and Aquarius that really wants, there's like, there's contradictory energy to you because Venus and Aquarius really wants a partner who is the best friend, someone who stimulates your mind, someone who is like an intellectual and quirky and unique, and you maybe don't even care about what they look like. You care about what they have to say, what kind of, what kind of you want people that are like very much individuals in their own right. But then your Mars is in Scorpio, so you have this sort of like tension between detached intellectual and a very passionate like Mars in Scorpio, and that may sometimes create this friction between how people perceive you and who you really are, right? Like sometimes you may come across as very detached and rational, but then I think you're also very emotional because with the moon in Cancer and even Mars in Scorpio, you need stability. You need someone to accept you for who you are. But like, so knowing that you may be contradictory, right? Like knowing that you have this like inner friction within you could be the first step. And like to your question, will you meet someone to be in a healthy relationship with? Absolutely. And I actually think that the window is about to get wide open here because the ruler of your house of relationships is the moon, and Jupiter, what is Jupiter doing if not going towards your house of relationships in just a week? It's going to enter your house of relationships and we'll start doing some goodness there. So there's Jupiter at the end of Gemini. On June 9th, it enters your seventh house. In June, it's going to square Saturn and Neptune. So maybe your desire for a relationship will need to compete with your duties to your family or some kind of issues in the home. But then later on, when Jupiter leaves, so like after June 24th, there is a Kazemi here, which is all about new beginnings. Then there's a new moon here, which is also about new beginnings. And I'm going to give you some dates, which I think will be especially powerful. That is when Jupiter conjoins your moon. Were you dating anyone, Sarah, back in from June 2013 into June 2014? So the best dates where you are really likely, you're saying, no, I was single. Did you notice any benefits at that point through your relationships? Maybe meeting like good partners, just meeting people who are very encouraging of you and just being surrounded by sort of positive interactions and positive people. So Jupiter will conjoin your moon 3 times: September 11th, 2025, January 13th, 2026, and May 5th, 2026. And that could be the time when you are likely to manifest a relationship and you're more likely to meet someone. You're saying, no, I was pretty isolated with a new baby. Oh, so you had a baby at that point. Um, so that again could be because Saturn was in Scorpio. So Saturn was in Scorpio in 2013 and 14, and it was definitely affecting some of the goodness of Jupiter. And I think maybe you were feeling it more because your midheaven is in Scorpio, and that means that it was opposing your IC, which is the angle of sort of comfort, security. But it looks better getting these three conjunctions that could be really positive. I think thoughts and direct with what you want with the people you meet, because you are likely someone who's very passionate and very sort of, values connection and intimacy, and can be really like sort of sexual on levels, but then at times you can also be detached and you can need your own space. And so communicating that very directly and being really self-aware and then expressing it to people you're dating could be really helpful. And if any of you want like a personal reading, you want me to look at your chart in more depth and have a conversation, you always book a reading on my website. So yeah, there's nothing in your chart that I think is preventing you from having a long-term relationship. I think maybe it's just a question of like getting the timing right. Um, and yeah, dealing with some kind of challenges at first, but I think it can improve absolutely. And it's a good year for that too. So Sarah, I hope this answers your question. Janet. Janet. You're welcome, Sarah. Yeah, it's a very kind of positive, promising chart. Okay, Janet, you're also saying same, Sarah, constant lessons. You're here. Public is fine. Thank you so much. So okay, so it's Janet, and then after Janet, we have Jermaine, who also goes by Jazz. And then we are all done for today. Okay, Janet. Putting your information in. I also have people born in 1990 today or 89. Your name is pronounced Janae. Thank you for saying that. Sorry, I have been mispronouncing your name left and right. I appreciate you letting me know. I actually very much always like when people ask how to pronounce my name, so I I am happy when people tell me how to pronounce theirs. Okay. So, Janae, um, my question is mainly about my love life. I've been single for 5 years, have been actively healing and releasing for 2 years. When will I meet someone? Some more details. I've had relationships, but never had a healthy relationship. And I have actively been addressing toxic patterns and drawing more boundaries than ever before. Most relationships start out passionate, then fit, and instead of rushing, but have not had any luck in meeting anyone. Okay, let's see. Carla says, I'm the outsider. Oh, you were born in 1971. You are the overseer, the boss of helping today. Okay. So, let's see. So, Janae, is this correct? Libra sun, Taurus moon, Cancer rising. Today, Taurus moons and Cancer moons rule today. It's all about you guys. So do let me know if I got your chart information correct. Because we don't want to waste time if it is not correct. So Janae, I feel like this list sometimes the comment list is sometimes slowing down. Okay, you're saying it is correct. Okay, so you definitely have a pretty serious house of relationships. You have Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus all in the house of relationships. The ruler is Saturn in its domicile, so it is definitely able to learn and take its time to figure out who you're meant to be and what you meant to, or who you're meant to be with, rather. You also have South Node in Leo, North Node in Aquarius. South Node in Leo, people often do have a certain amount of romantic drama. They do tend to attract passionate, maybe dramatic relationships. And the goal is to balance it with more detachment, more self awareness, more um, people, kind of accepting people into your life that can be friends and allies and people that have maybe a similar purpose. And sometimes it's also, I would also recommend that you work on discovering who you are with North Node and Leo, instead of like being like fitting into the roles other people expect of you, right? As a Libra, you do have a strong Venus that is also lovely. And you have a Venus Mars trine, which tends to suggest that you know what you want. You are flirtatious, you're playful, you're open minded with your Mars in Libra. There is no sort of confusion about what you want romantically and sexually. But maybe you need to learn to separate yourself from the expectations other people have of you, right? With that Libra energy of being a people pleaser, do things that are just for you. Study astrology, volunteer, go to a rally where you get to fight for the cause that is really important to you. Janae says, yes, for sure. That's what I'm learning. I feel like I've been coming back to myself and who I am. Yeah, and then seventh house, you do have these are definitely serious seventh house planets, right? Saturn brings delays. Saturn brings sometimes a need to maybe, or not a need. Saturn in the seventh gets projected on partners that are difficult. It brings people that teach you a lot of lessons. It may feel like you're attracting people that are heavy and maybe too sort of grounded or too regimented with the way they present themselves. On the positive, it also suggests that you can go through these cycles when you're single for a long time, but then when you find someone, Saturn will also bring longevity. It's also more likely to bring like a very stable, solid person into your life. They're not going to be the most romantic, but they're likely to be very committed, I think, and very serious about a relationship. You really need to be here, you need to be aware of a tendency to be afraid of relationships and be sort of, and maybe choosing relationships that somehow reflect what you believe inside. And so you can work on rewiring your belief system, right? And like telling yourself that you can meet someone just perfect, and so, like, focusing that you're not subconsciously sabotaging your relationships, because with Saturn in the seventh, more often than not, people have fear of relationships and they either go for these, like, maybe stable, serious, mature partners that feel like they're stable, but there's no spark, or they can go for people that are non committal, that are somehow boundaried, and it's hard to reach them because for whatever reason you're afraid of them hurting you, right? Like, don't let your past experiences affect your future experiences. um okay, you're saying, I've been doing so many things solo and I love it. I've learned I've sabotaged, yes, and I have been addressing that. So yeah, it begins, I think, with that, and also with Neptune, Uranus, setting better boundaries with Uranus, making sure that you see your own value, because sometimes with Uranus in the seventh, you attract people who are like, you perceive them as very unique and very special, but you may fail to see your own uniqueness. So again, working on your own, like developing yourself, right? That could be really powerful. So when you may meet someone, and when may it be very serious? Every year we have new moons and full moons in your seventh house. So the new moons and full moons are definitely windows of opportunity. What I'm thinking, I'm sort of also looking at it and thinking of the eclipses that we have coming up, but that's going to be, it's still 2-3 years away, but that might be a really major commitment, meeting the right person that's the love of your life, that's someone you spend the rest of your life with. Let me see if I still have the window with the eclipses open. I think I do because I'm a Gemini moon, and so I have all the windows open and I never close them. Okay, so when do we start having eclipses in Capricorn? July 18th, 2027. So 2 years from now, there's going to be an eclipse in your house of relationships. And then it's going to continue throughout 2028, and it's going to even take us into 2029. So that is major period of like commitment, or, solidifying things, getting married. It just looks like big relationship developments. Until then, a lot can happen too. I think having Jupiter be in your first house for a year can also suggest that you can manifest whatever you set your sights on. New moons, again, sort of new moons, full moons in Capricorn. Every time Venus is in Capricorn, that's a positive chapter too. You're saying this is so validating. I'm glad to hear that. I've been doing everything you've been saying. The last Cancer Capricorn eclipse, I ended a long-term relationship that held me back. Was it the more recent one when we had South Node in Capricorn? So South Node would have been all about letting people go. I think these eclipses coming up, they will be North Node eclipses. So they're more likely to bring someone into your life. So I think that's probably where I imagine you finding someone who can be this life partner for the rest of your life. But until then, keep focusing on yourself, keep working on yourself. May 2020. Yeah, so that would have been South Node eclipses. So I hope this helps. I hope this answered your question. Thank you again for joining and for participating. Okay. So let's see. Jazz, are you still around? You're welcome, Janae. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay, Jazz is here. She's asking for private. Joanne, you're saying you wait, Joanne, are you JM? You're saying I just emailed you. Sorry if it's too late, just tuning in now. I don't think I got a donation from you, and my list is also closed as of right now. So I am going to wrap up for today. But if you'd like to jump on my list, you can send me a donation and I'll put you on the list for next Monday. Or you can always join me next Monday and submit your donation, and then I'll put you on the list next Monday. Okay, Jazz, did you send your information through PayPal, right? I don't think you sent me an email. Okay, let me see if it's easy to pull it up. It's funny. It's asking me to put my password, but then it's still showing me your information. It's like, put your password, but here is a preview. And you're welcome, Joanne. Okay. So, Jazz. Carla is asking what time. So I've been doing these every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So join next Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And again, thank you, Carla. You're so on top of things. Okay, Jazz. So one thing I'm missing in your information is I'm missing the time you were born. Do you mind emailing it to me? Anastasia does astrology, but periods after Anastasia and after does. And I will keep your information private. It doesn't show up your information. Your time is not showing up in the PayPal info that you send me. You may have sent it again later, but I am not seeing it. So I do have the date and I do have the town, but I need the time. (4:53 a.m.) Okay, that works. Okay, so let me make sure your information is private. I see it. I see 453. Uh, okay, so your question. Can you tell me something about my financial situation or career? I changed jobs around September 2024. I'm on summer break right now until August. I'm not sure if I'm completely happy with my job though. What do you do? Okay. So is this correct? Libra sun, Pisces moon, Virgo rising. You're a school nurse. And did you change jobs? You were a nurse before then as well? So you're wondering about career or finances? Financial situation or career. So we've had the last year and a half from I would say from July 2023 all throughout 2024. South Node was in your second house of money and values, and North Node was in your house of shared finances and partnerships and debts. And so there could have been more of a focus in terms of letting go of finances and letting go of your old priorities and choosing more independence and focusing more on partnering up with other people, trusting other people, being supported by other people. Right now, the South Node is in your first house of identity, and North Node is in your seventh house of relationships. So you are going through a big period of rebirth in terms of who you are and what you seek. And so you saying that you're not sure if you're completely happy with your job, I think that makes sense. South Node is urging you to connect to something that's more spiritual, maybe something healing, something where you people connect to like yoga and reiki at this time, and maybe even doing work that I think is of help to other people. Jupiter is about to go into your 11th house, which can bring help and support professionally and personally through your associations, connections, and allies. So professionally, this could be a really lovely time to start partnerships with people. Have you been noticing in the last year or so, like in the last couple of years, that you maybe have opened yourself up to people and like let more people in, or have like allowed other people to support you somehow, or maybe build more trust with other people? So Saturn in the eighth, I feel like reads as it's a good time now to pay off any debts and clear any sort of karmic dependencies. But Jupiter in the 11th may encourage you to follow new dreams and to pursue dreams that put you in touch with other people, and maybe dreams that kind of direct you towards having a career in like a large organization, having a career in like a healing field of some kind. You're saying, yes, for sure. I was a float nurse with no home unit, but now I'm working with the same people constantly. So it's like I have a team now. That's awesome. So maybe this next year is a good time for you to figure out like what you'd like to be doing and reach out to people in your network to see if they can help you sort of go into that direction. Any Virgo rising right now too, with Jupiter going into Cancer, it could be a powerful time to start a YouTube channel or to volunteer, to start some kind of nonprofit organization. um, it could be, I think, a really supportive time for that. And financially, Saturn is opposing your Venus. So Venus rules your house of money. In general, you have a very healthy Venus in the house of finances, but I think the fact that Saturn is currently opposing it and Neptune is opposing it there may be a bit of a difficulty financially, or like not even a difficulty, but I think a need for you right now to be more discerning with how you make money or how you spend money. Do you have any Jazz? Do you have any debts or any like, I don't know, mortgages or any, because Saturn in the eighth for the next 3 years will be all about either getting rid of actual debt or figuring out what's holding you back, some kind of karmic agreements with people that are no longer healthy. So financially, I think this might be important for a bit. And Saturn will not oppose your Venus forever, but it is something that I think is highlighted right now. So let me see when. Yeah, Saturn opposes your Venus on June 14th. It opposes your Venus on August 10th and February 25th, 2026. You're saying not too much debt, like they can be easily paid off. I have stocks and savings. Okay. So maybe it's just a question. You're saying we just don't want to take those out. So when you asked about finances, is it something that you're just in general, you're like looking at increasing your finances, or because it doesn't seem like you're in debt or you're worried about finances? I would also watch out for like making financial decisions when Saturn and Neptune are opposing your Venus, and Neptune will also oppose your Venus on September 3rd and March 7th. And so give it a month on each side. You can say August, September, February, March. Next year, not the best time for like important financial decisions. You're saying I have a lot of stress with finances because I grew up poor. I feel like it shouldn't be something that will forever be an issue for you, because with Venus as the ruler of the second house of money, yes, she's combust, but she's, whenever the planet is in her home sign, which Venus is in Libra, she's considered to be protected. So, and she's the ruler of your house of career as well. So I feel like it could be something that keeps getting better as you get older. And yes, it is, by sign, it's sort of, well, you also have the sun here in its fall. And the sun rules this. This could be like a father who wasn't good at making money, or a father that actually lost some money for the family. But then Venus is supportive. So make sure again that you're not like letting the past define your future. I have the sunlight in a jar candle. That's the sun in rulership. So if you wanted to remediate it, the sunlight in Leo could be good for visibility. Sorry, sunlight in a jar, visibility, recognition, supportive authority figures, everything like that. You're saying yes, LOL. Is that to the fact that your father was not good with money? So I think that's my take. I feel like with Jupiter entering Cancer, you're saying your dad. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I've seen that in a chart of another client. So it comes from like knowing it as, as an example from someone's life. So I hope it sheds some light on your career. I think when Uranus starts to maybe move away from your midheaven, which begins between July 7th, November 7th, there may be some kind of like revolution professionally, maybe less shakeups as well, like more opportunity to do things that are authentic to you, and just less sort of ups and downs, because Uranus has been pretty close to your midheaven for a while. And it's finally leaving. The last conjunction was May 6th. So you're like, on some level, I think you're like getting off the roller coaster in your professional life. So time to figure out what is it that you want to be doing. And it seems like you are a healer. So you probably know that you want to be a healer, but maybe it's just, again, about connecting with people in your network and finding a job that feels more like a dream, that's you, maybe be more visible or more recognized for your wisdom and the work that you're doing. So Jazz, I hope this was helpful. Thank you everyone who has watched, who joined, who asked questions. Thank you, Carla. Special thank you to Carla for, what's the word? What were you doing today? I feel like there's a word for it. Not managing media. No, what's the word when somebody like does the technical stuff? I can't remember it. Being a person with all the answers. Sarah says, thank you. It was fun to watch and really helpful. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jazz. Again, if any of you wants a personal reading, book it at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Join my astrology course, learn more about yourself, learn how to read charts so you can look at them and make sense of it all. And I will see some of you next week when I will do another live. Moderator, I think Carla, moderator. I think you were a moderator today. You're welcome, secretary, secretary or moderator. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Enjoy the rest of your evening or morning, depending on where you're watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.